Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best 10 brawlers for the brand new game mode Godzilla City Smash. So you'll be getting eggs and all of the rewards through completing this every 3 days, and you will be making sure that you're getting the most wins as possible, because some of these mutations are just so broken that you want to be pushing them outside of this event. So you want to be getting the most eggs as possible, and you also of course want all of those legendary eggs so you can get all of the skins. So it's very important to learn how to play this game mode in particular. So let's jump into it then. So I'll just go ahead and say that there's 2 brawlers in particular that are just absolutely crazy broken. Of course, you've got to wait until you get their mutation, but if you have either Ruffs or Rico, they're absolutely insane. So the first brawler is Ruffs. So the way that you want to play Ruffs is just to literally pick your one lane and make sure that you're bouncing your shots onto any wall. Just make sure they're bouncing, because they'll just be able to fly across the map, dealing damage to the opponents, dealing damage to the Godzilla, dealing damage to the buildings. It will just mean infinite damage, and he has good consistent damage as well because he has an extra projectile. And of course, you've got your super. You're going to be getting super for free so easily because of how much the bounce travels throughout the map. It's literally an infinite bounce. So you're going to use the super to destroy Godzilla, destroy the city as well. It actually deals a lot of damage to the buildings around, and of course giving you and your teammates that power up, that extra boost is going to be so valuable in the long term. So jumping into the second best brawler, it's Rico's mutations. So again, you want to be using the mutations as much as possible because they're literally better than hypercharged brawlers. So make sure that you use pretty much any mutation that you can. Also, I'm not going to include any glitch brawlers on this because there's going to be a maintenance pretty soon to fix these. So I'm not going to include like Otis, Gray, Sprout, and I'm not going to show you guys how to do it anyways. But yeah, let's move on. So Rico is just insanely broken as well. It's 2 best mutations by far, Rico and Ruffs. You just get infinite bounces, so you want to be making sure you're using the super bouncy star power so you get that extra damage. You want to be making sure you're using multiple launcher as well so you get extra damage onto the city, and then make sure you're using the reload gear and the damage gear. This build is so essential because again, you're going to deal with literally infinite ammo. It's like impossible to dodge these Rico shots, and the best thing about Rico as well is that even when you destroy parts of the city, it will still continue to bounce. You know, typically it will just end the bounce duration, you would think, but the balls just keep bouncing just across the entire map. It's just so broken. Again, just like Ruffs, you want to be making sure that you're infinitely shooting off a wall, but try and bounce off many walls as possible, and especially around the choke points that the opponents will basically get near. You'll be making sure that that bounce area as well is as small as possible, so the opponents don't really have much chance to dodge this. So Rico is by far the best option on here, so make sure to abuse him as much as possible. So next to put on the list, we have Melody. So Melody is insanely underrated. People haven't figured out how insanely strong she is on this event. She gets 5 notes with the mutation, which is just crazy for DPS, and her notes just seem to absolutely rip through the city, and I mean rip through, faster than pretty much any single brawler. The only problem is, of course, in getting those 5 notes, making sure that you're farming the notes as much as possible from the Godzilla, because he's got a super big hitbox, really easy to hit, and then you could just use your super to dash forward up the map. And the good thing about Melody as well is that you're forcing the opponents to defend you. That's just how it kind of goes. You got to think of it as heist, right? If they're constantly defending you, then you're just going to eventually be able to overwhelm them and get more percentage on the side of their city. Again, Melody's not going to be good at just destroying the wall with her base attack, so make sure you're always shooting at Godzilla, teammate enemies and other stuff like that before you actually go in and try and destroy the city. But yeah, pretty much you want to be switching up your third brawler. Sometimes you want to go into Godzilla as Melody if you can't ramp up enough, but I would say for the most part don't really touch Godzilla because he's actually detrimental going inside of it, because he's just easy to hit and he has no range and he's super slow. So I pretty much never go into the Godzilla. So jumping into the next brawler that you want to be pushing on this Godzilla event, it is Meg. So with Meg, again, you either want to be the Godzilla yourself and let your teammates go Ruffs and Rico because they're just literally essential. You can't go without those 2 brawlers. And then Meg's a good option because the main reason there's quite a few open maps, and the good thing about Meg is that she absolutely rips through the Godzilla. In a 1v1, you may as well just go Meg. She's better than the Godzilla in every single way. Literally takes like 2-3 ammo to get rid of Godzilla's whole HP, and especially on the map that's out right now, as soon as Godzilla breaks open the middle bit, you can just rip through everything. She's a really good defensive brawler. She gets her hands on either Rico or Russ once the map starts opening up, and she'll just one-shot them. She just shreds through everything, and her swipe as well on the offensive is insane. You think of any of the barrels around the map, it takes quite a lot of ammo for most brawlers to destroy those barrels to blow up, but with Meg, you can use the swipe and literally just destroy it so quick. Okay, so jumping into the next brawler, we must absolutely push on this event. It is Frank. So again, with this mutation, is going to be absolutely insane. It gets an additional HP buff, it gets movement speed, and you can just destroy terrain with a single shot. So this actually boosts his damage overall onto the city. The good thing about him as well is that he can push into a Russ and Rico pretty easily. You can use your irresistible attraction gadget to get through those barrels pretty quickly, and you just want to literally run towards those barrels as quickly as possible, because you can shoot through the environment and shoot through to those barrels. It will take like 3-4 pieces of ammo to actually take it down, and it's pretty insane. And especially if you get the damage gear popped, which you should be able to easily get within that threshold, especially with the amount of Ruffs and Rico damage going around the map, you can actually rip through the city pretty quickly. So I think he's really underrated. People might think that Frank is terrible in some ways, but I've actually had a decent success rate on both maps with Frank. Again, it's just his pure beefiness, being able to run up the map so quickly. It just enables so much pressure. Jumping into the next brawler we want to be pushing on this event, it is El Primo. So again, unless they nerf Rico and Ruffs, it's pretty hard to deal with them. So you want to be making sure you got those two in your composition, and then go with El Primo. So he's one of the best counters to these two brawlers in particular. You're going to be using the health gear and the supercharged gear, just because your main focus is to get that first super from incoming damage, or if you eventually get close enough to them. And then once you get your first super, you can literally auto aim it across the map, and you'll just take down Rico and Ruffs so quickly. That's what you need to do. It's pretty hard to deal a lot of damage to the buildings, so you've got to probably rely off your Rico, Ruffs, or any other damage dealers to destroy the city, whilst Primo, you just focus on going to town on the enemy Ruffs, Rico. You know, I was using Primo to counter that particular composition on like Knockout, for example. It's like the only way that you can defeat these mutations, so use Primo to counter these brawlers. So jumping into the next brawler, you must absolutely push on this event. It is Eve. So again, you want to be making sure you're using a mutation brawler, because it's just impossible to play this event without one. Even if the mutation sucks, you just got to go it pretty much. But yeah, Eve is a fantastic one to push on this event. Main reason being is because, again, Russ and Rico just running all over the map right now, and because you're basically taking damage all the time no matter what brawler you use, Eve, she literally just farts out little hatchlings. So if you're just taking ammo randomly, then your hatchlings are going to be just spawning out randomly. And the good thing about Eve as well, she's actually a good defensive brawler. There's literally 3 out of the 4 maps have a lot of water, so Eve's going to be able to take advantage of that. And again, when I was pushing on Knockout, Eve was one of the biggest counters, because you don't want to shoot Eve because she just spawns infinite hatchlings. So for me, I think Eve is a fantastic, really underrated counter pick to Ruffs and Rico. Jumping into the next brawler we must absolutely push on this event, it is Colt. So he is incredibly underrated. I was really surprised when I played him. Not enough people actually try him out. So the main reason why he's so good is because you can shoot through your home city with Colt's mutation. He gets increased range and he destroys terrain. I don't know whether it's a glitch how he can shoot through his home city, but other brawlers can't, whilst Colt can. Also, he has insane DPS. So again, once the map opens up, because it will eventually open up with all of the city being destroyed, he can just absolutely laser the Godzilla. So if they want to try the Otis bug or any other bugs, he could just rip through Godzilla. You've got the hypercharge as well, so he's a perfect defensive brawler. And again, just because of how his mutation works, he actually destroys the city quicker, and because of his insane range, you could just snipe the city from such a far distance. You think of Rico and Russ, they're really good because of their range. Colt is a perfect example of why extra range is really important in this event. So jumping into the next brawler, you must push on this new event. It is Shelly. So it's getting pretty hard to pick brawlers that are actually good on this, because there's not many that counter Ruffs and Rico. But I think Shelly is incredibly underrated. The Clay Pigeons gadget with the +1 gear is essential. You actually just rip through everything with this. If you focus on the Godzilla or just any other brawler, you rip through them. This enables you to cycle through to your hypercharge pretty quickly, and as I said, it's actually incredibly underrated. It's just overshadowed by so many different things, but again, the map opens up pretty quickly, so it just allows your Clay Pigeons to work even more. And because she has a decent amount of HP, she can actually walk up the map pretty quickly, and the amount of pressure this gadget gets is insane. I don't know why people don't talk about this mutation enough, because the Clay Pigeons gadget and the double shots is just absolutely broken. So next up on the list, we have Colt's mutation. So I would say it's a little bit overrated as to what I thought it was. I think it got nerfed before it even got put into the game. But I think on this map in particular, but also any kind of watery map, Colt is going to be insane because you got the flying hook just to fly across the map and get instant pressure. Again, you want to be targeting those barrels on the map as quickly as possible. Take those down. That's a lot of the city destroyed already. And of course, again, gadgets for pressure is just so good. If you can just target the Ruffs or the Rico, you can counter them pretty easily with Colt and his super. And not only that, his super just deals insane damage to the city. So just like Melody, the damage is just absolutely crazy. You can just rip through like 10-15% with one super. And of course, because of how fast it is as well, you can just lightning across the map and just get rid of Rico and Russ really quickly. Okay, so jumping into the final brawler you want to be pushing on this event, it is Buzz. So Buzz is actually a little bit underrated. Main reason being is because he's a great counter to Rico and Russ. If you get one hook onto them, you can just kill them really quickly. But the best thing about him is that his grapple can just go across the entire map. So as I was talking about earlier, pressure can win games on this event. It doesn't deal a lot of damage to the city, but if you straight away focus on where the barrels are on the map, make sure that you're looking at the map before you go in, know where they are, just go that side of the map straight away with your hook, destroy them, and then your plan is after that is just to try and defend as much as possible. Defend against a Colt. Don't try and defend against Godzilla because it's probably not going to work too much. If there's a Godzilla on your spawn, just go into the Godzilla and try and defend it that way because Buzz will just get wrecked in a 1v1. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Buzz is really underrated, but let me know in the comment section who the best brawlers are on this event. Hopefully again, Rico and Ruffs do get some type of nerf because they're just way too strong. But yeah, you just have to abuse them because it's the only way you can really win on this event. That's going to be it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.